Okay, here we are. It looks like we are live. All right. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. My name is Scott Fuller, founder of leavingthebayarea.com, and welcome to another Market Insider series where every week we travel the country looking at some of the more popular places that people are relocating to. And today, I'm happy to say we are going east to the Mile High City, beautiful Denver, Colorado. Kristen and Todd Narlinger are my guests today. Kristen and Todd, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm super excited to be talking with you guys today. I know we've got a ton of great information that we're going to cover. Before we get into introductions, I want to remind everybody that we've got a chat feature on the Zoom platform. We also have a Q&A section. We love to answer questions. We love to make it interactive. So feel free to interrupt us with your question and we'll go ahead and we'll give you a live answer on that. So anyway, let's get moving. So Kristen, Todd, Madison and Company Properties in Denver. Guys, give me a little bit of background on kind of what you're doing out there, how long you've been doing it, and how you're helping some people relocate into the Denver market.
You want to go first?
You go ahead.
I'll go first. I'm a Denver native, been here my entire life, and I'm going to go ahead and take that out of there real quick. Denver native, been here my entire life, and got into real estate in 1995, actually with RE/MAX Masters. And then in 2008, great timing, decided to open my own brokerage, Madison and Company Properties.
That was the D-Day for most agents at that point, brokers, right? You're thinking,
yeah, D-Day was about 60 days after I opened up the office. I opened up about May or June of 2008. And about 60 to 90 days later was Lehman Brothers, IndyMac, everything. So great timing.
It couldn't have timed it any better.
Couldn't have timed it any better. But fast forward to today, we have over 160 agents, 7 offices, right about $1 billion in sales, somewhere in that range. But most important, I would say that we've got some of the best agents in Denver. It's really about being the best, not the most, highly knowledgeable. And per our discussion today, we really have offices in all the key areas in the Denver metro area. So we're excited to talk about that. And Kristen, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kristen Narlinger. I'm married to that guy. We also work together.
Yes.
Boy.
I'm the relocation and referral director here at Madison. Also, I can speak to the fact that I did not grow up here in Colorado. I'm from the East Coast, from Washington, D.C. area. Came out here in the 90s to go to CU Boulder, go Buffs. And stayed because I liked it so much. So I can definitely speak to being a transplant from another state.
Which is great because in your role, kind of charging the relocation side of the business, that's really important because you kind of really have to walk in people's shoes, right? To understand what's it like to be considering a new market, whether it's Denver or somewhere else, and how can you kind of, be able to add value based off of your own experiences. So I think that's really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. I always tell people how great it is to live here. I honestly don't know another state that I would live in. I've been very happy here, and it's great to have that sort of experience of moving from another state.
Fantastic. So I think what we're going to focus on first is we're going to talk about, obviously Denver is a large metro area. There's a lot of growing communities, which you guys have seen. You have offices in a lot of those communities. I think what a lot of people are interested in learning about is what are some of the more higher growth communities and what are some of those price points? What would you get? So if I'm coming out and I've got $500,000 to spend or $750 or whatever that looks like coming from California, what can I expect to get and where are some of those areas at?
So if it's okay, let me go ahead and share our screen real quick. We actually have a couple maps we want to share and a couple example homes. All right, cool. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. And there we go. You see our map right there?
I see it. Yep.
Okay, so this is more of an entire Denver metro front range map. What you can see is Denver's kind of the heart of the front range. What we talk about is this is a 7-county map. When we talk about where we see about 80 to 90% of the business here in Colorado, it's done right here on this map. So we'll break down Denver here in a second, which is kind of the hub, the real hub of Denver. We call it the donut hole, and the outside area is kind of the donut. So if you really, when you look at this map, how it's broken down is you got north, east, south, west. The west side is right where you see gold and evergreen. That's where the mountains are. That's really where we stop. It's right where we start to get into the mountains. We don't go any further west. there's really nowhere to grow that way. When you look at what happened in Denver over the last 10 years, where we've seen a lot of the growth is up north and down south. So north, you've got Thornton, Broomfield, Westminster, North Glen, Loveland, Greeley, what else? Fort Collins. You know that?
Yeah, Boulder has kind of reached its pinnacle of growth, but yeah, Broomfield, Thornton.
And then when you go down south, one of the biggest neighborhoods we have down south is Highlands Ranch. Highlands Ranch was one of the biggest PUD communities that has been in the last, I'm going to say 25 years nationwide. It's absolutely a huge, huge community that they started, what, about probably 25 years ago?
I think they just had their, what, 30th?
30th anniversary. 30th anniversary. And then down, if you go further down south, you've got Castle Rock. And if you go much further south, which is another area that's kind of booming, is Colorado Springs. And then off to the east, I'll let you talk about the east side.
Oh, the east side. So Aurora has seen a boom. They're actually building a new home community called Aurora Highlands out there next to the airport, DIA. And they are planning to build approximately 60,000 homes out there. And obviously they've got the land to do that.
Homes.
Yeah,
60,000.
It's going to be massive. If you've ever flown into Denver, into DIA, you'll see why. I mean, it's just surrounded by lots of land. So they have the space to do it. They're going to put parks, schools, recreation there. It's going to be awesome.
And then if we go to the next slide, what I want to do is kind of break down Denver a little bit. So when people say just Denver, no, I mean, Denver is literally, this map breaks it down into so many different sections. Denver is so diverse depending where you want to live. Being from San Francisco, let's just say in San Francisco area, like I don't know what the most popular area or most expensive area in San Francisco is, but for us, it'd probably be, what would that area be?
It could be Pacific Heights would be, a good area that a lot of people are coming from.
Perfect. So for us, that area on the center of that map is called Cherry Creek and Wash Park. Those are the two areas that are probably the most expensive areas in the Denver metro area. And then a little bit further south is a neighborhood called Cherry Hills in Greenwood Village. Those are the most popular, but for the millennials that have been moving out to Denver, they might move to like Sloan's Lake, Berkeley, and then for empty nesters, what you say, kind of Cherry Creek, Wash Park?
Cherry Creek, yeah, definitely Wash Park. Also the up and coming neighborhoods are Rhino, which was the River North District, or the Highlands. These are all neighborhoods that have been turning over from these old homes, and people are coming in and building them up and renovating them, and they're becoming hip and very, very popular and trendy.
And so what we'll do is we'll go to the next slide. What we've done here is we've given you an example of a typical home in Denver. We literally just pulled these off of our MLS yesterday. So here's a typical home in Denver. This is what you're going to find if you're looking in Wash Park, for example, or maybe Rhino, as Kristen was talking about.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Cap
brick.
Hill.
Yeah, Cap Hill. This is just your typical brick bungalow. 1920s is when these kind of homes were being built. And what we're seeing is an influx from California, Texas, and other areas where they want to live downtown Denver. This could be a millennial buyer, or it could be an empty nester or a family. We're seeing it all. But if you look to the left of this house, you're going to see this brand new big house right next to it. If you see kind of like to the left side, you'll see this new house. That's why we put this house in here, because sometimes you see that, Scott?
I see
That's
that.
very typical in Denver. There's been a lot of tear downs, knockdowns, top situations where people are taking these historic homes, popping the top, adding a second level. But in general, the average price, say this home right here, is about $550,000. That would be the average price of a home in Denver right now.
Yeah,
and how many beds, baths, and square footage would we expect on a home like this for that, $550,000 plus or minus?
Great question. This one, for example, I looked it up last night. This one is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,700 square feet. Okay. And 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,700 square feet. It was right. Was it $595,000?
Yeah.
And this is in one of the really nice neighborhoods of Denver.
So if can you guys scroll back to the map that you had, this area right here. So which area would be kind of the downtown, and then which areas are maybe residential single family versus areas that are maybe kind of more of the downtown urban, condos, townhomes, or the high rise?
Okay, so the urban area will be Spear, Baker, Lincoln Park. Right there, you see where Wash Park is?
Yep.
That house that I gave you the example of, that was Wash Park. Wash Park is kind of, let's call it New York City. Everyone knows Central Park in New York City. This is a very small version of what that is, but it's got about a 3-mile loop around it that you can go running. There's a lot of biking. It's just one of the most beautiful parks in Denver. What do you say?
But of course, if you want to live downtown,
yep.
You're looking at more high rises, condos, lofts.
Yep.
Those are really popular downtown.
Coors Field, for example, is surrounded by that.
Yeah, give us a couple of examples. So for people who are, let's say, millennials, maybe that's a popular type of property for them, is they want to be downtown, they want to be in the action. What would you expect to pay for some of those condos that are kind of in the downtown area?
Yeah, I mean they range a lot, but obviously some of the nicer condo buildings, you're looking at upwards of 600-700 or more, depending on what kind of
probably all the way
up
to several million. I'm sure there's
well, for example, there's a building down there, Scott, Four Seasons, built a development downtown Denver, right down the heart of downtown, and from 15th story up to the 31st story are all condos. Those go from $1.3 million up to $4 million.
Okay.
So we see everything when it comes in. A lot of those are second homes, but the
average 600 or 700.
600 or 700.
But if a millennial can afford that, it's great to be downtown. They've got Union Station has been revitalized recently. It's amazing. Now we've got the public transportation. It is a night and day difference from when I moved out here 25-30 years ago. I used to be a ghost town downtown. And
can you guys, real quick, so we have Irene's mentioning, can you guys, we're talking about these areas, can you use your mouse to kind of, maybe circle around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just circle around maybe right Wash Park right there. I think that was a property that you guys had shown a picture of, which is there.
Do you see our mouse on there?
Yep, I see it. You got it.
Okay, good. So that's Wash Park right there. And if we're looking where downtown is, this is downtown Denver right here. Aurora, Lincoln Station, Lincoln Park, this area right here. Okay. Where we're seeing a lot of growth is in this area over here in Sloan's Lake. This area is completely changed. Now, if we want to go to where the airport is, airport's over here. This is where DIA is, we want to know in relation. And what Kristen was just talking about is Aurora Highlands. But Union Station, which is kind of the hub of Denver now, it's really downtown Denver. There is now a light rail, incredible light rail that takes you right to DIA. So almost anywhere on this map, and let's go back. I'm sorry, let's just go up to this map. Almost anywhere on this map, you can now take light rail down to Denver, and then Denver out to the airport. So fantastic. Our public transportation is night and day difference. What, compared to 5 years ago even?
Oh my gosh, yes. And they're opening up new lines all the time.
Yep.
That's great.
Even where we live down here in Castle Rock.
On that. So let's go to, I think you guys had another property you were going to show, and then also we had a request to maybe talk about some more what we'll call affordable areas. We kind of started touching on, the 600,000-700,000. We got off on a tangent a little bit there, but maybe some of the more affordable areas. So maybe, some areas that might be, let's say 300 to 600, something like that. But go ahead.
So I think I'll go back to the first map. The first map will give you a better idea. Obviously downtown Denver is where it's at, but to be affordable, you do have to go outside. I'm sure it's the same thing in San Francisco, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
If you're going to live right downtown, you're going to be paying for it. So you do need to go out to be more affordable. For instance, down here by Castle Rock, actually that's where Todd and I live, is in Castle Rock. Much more affordable. Highlands Ranch, Parker, they are building a ton of new homes, new home communities out here. Parker, Castle Rock, in Castle Pines, actually that's technically where we live. And it's called the Canyons. They're building a beautiful new home community out there. Going up north, I think Lakewood for sure, Littleton. Honestly,
so
near the mountains.
Give us kind of an idea as we're going south here to Highlands Ranch and Parker and some of those areas. Give us an idea of an average price point and what you would get for that. And I know it's
So
going to
let me
vary,
hit
but
on
just
this
maybe
because
average.
you said something about between 300 to 600.
Mhm.
I will tell you right now, it is very it's tough to find a nice home in the 300 range now. There are very few of them,
Okay.
very few. So Parker, maybe $400,000, 400,000 to 500,000 is that sweet spot where
Yeah.
you'll probably find a nice 3 or 4 bedroom starter home, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, not quite as nice as this house. Not as nice as this house, but something a little bit more production.
Yeah.
A little bit more like a Richmond or U.S. Homes or something like that, Shea Homes, where you can probably, what, 400,000 to 500,000 probably?
Yeah, definitely. Mid-4s.
And that's, yeah,
Mid-fours.
that's reasonable. 400,000 to 500,000. I mean, especially from Bay Area standards, you know, you're
Wow.
you're getting pretty much an
Buy a
apartment out
quilt.
here, if that. Yeah.
Scott, we get people that relocate here all the time from California, and they're like, are you kidding me? This is what I get for that price? In a good way. They're shocked.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocked.
Absolutely. I had somebody else ask a question here. Joe asked, can you talk a little bit more about outlying areas like Evergreen and Golden? So maybe while we've got this map up, you guys can point out where that's at and just give some ideas of what those price points would look like on average.
Yeah.
I was actually just at our office meeting this morning with one of the top teams that works Evergreen. So I'm glad they asked that question, really glad.
Okay.
Evergreen's right here. Evergreen is on your way up to the mountains. This is off of I-70. So you got 6th Avenue, you've got I-70, and I-70 goes this way, if you can follow my mouse.
Yep.
But here's the deal with Evergreen. Evergreen's average price right now is about $620,000.
Okay.
It is more expensive than Denver.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very tight market right now. Evergreen is a very, very tight market. It's starting to get a few more, the inventory is starting to finally rise up there, but I was just talking to our Tuppers team up there, and they said it's still a tough market.
Yeah.
Golden, Morrison, this is where, what is the Red Rocks?
Yeah.
Red Rocks Amphitheater
Red Rocks,
is right here in Morrison.
Sure.
So for those people that know Red Rocks, that's where that's at.
And Golden's right here. Golden is kind of in between Denver and Boulder. Well, a little bit to the left on the mountains, but Golden honestly is getting pretty pricey too.
Very, because it's landlocked. It's landlocked. That's the problem. Is that's where the mountains. So there's no more growth. So it's all about supply versus demand.
Plus, you're close to like all, I'm sure, the resorts and everything, right? So you're always going to command a little bit higher of a price for that location.
Yeah, for example, it takes us about 2 hours to drive to, let's say, a good ski area like Vail. But for those people in Evergreen or Golden, it's probably an hour and 20 minutes. That's a big difference when you're going skiing on the weekend, which is a big thing, or hiking in the summer.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for answering that. So we've talked maybe about some of the different areas, and then you guys started to get into a little bit of what's going on in the market. So let's expand a little bit on that. What are you guys seeing as far as the available inventory trends, the days on market, some of those trends, and how that impacts people who are coming into the area and looking to make a purchase?
So I have a couple of interesting stats I'll throw out there real quick, Scott, from just the stats that just got released this past month from RE Colorado, our MLS. And our housing market right now has 8,891 homes on the market. That's the highest amount of inventory we have seen since May of 2013, to put it in relation. So our inventory is finally starting to rise. I'm going to say for the last 4 years, we've had about maybe a 1 month housing supply, which is not good for buyers. So we're finally starting to get more of a balanced market. It's interesting. It represents a 27% increase in active inventory from April to May. And here's the more interesting one. 38% increase in inventory year over year. So our May this year versus May of last year is a 38% increase in inventory. What does that mean? It means that sellers are getting more realistic with their prices, more realistic with terms, and with interest rates at 0.75 to 3 7/8, people are able to actually start negotiate a little bit more now than ever before in the last 5 years.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, it creates a good opportunity for not just buyers in your area, for buyers coming from out of the area. And, I think we see some of those trends nationwide, and I can say that we're seeing something very similar here in the Bay Area. You have to be more realistic as a seller, to get your home price right. And if it's a very unique property, and if it's priced competitively, you can get multiple offers, but it's not like it was 2, 3, 4 years ago. And it sounds like you guys are seeing something similar.
It's almost identical. And literally, we had about 50 to 60 realtors in our meeting this morning. We're all starting to feel it. We're all starting to feel it loosen up a little bit. And it's a great opportunity right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. I've got one more question from Charles here. Given how expensive Boulder can be, are you also servicing that area? So it sounds like, does your team service the Boulder area?
Yes, we service Boulder. We're both CU buffs here, so we're both
okay.
graduate from Boulder. So when you say Boulder, yes. So Boulder is
But I think the average price right now in Boulder
1.1 or 1.2, right?
Yeah, over $1 million. It's insane.
Boulder is like Cherry Hills. If you know John Elway or anything like Mike Shanahan, that's
Sure.
where they live in Cherry Hills. The closest thing that we have to it, the priciest zip code is Boulder. That is we do service it, but that's a tighter market. But I've talked to some agents that work that area from our firm, and it's loosening up as well. We're starting to see some inventory creep up there, but they have a lot of building restrictions in Boulder. Boulder is very restrictive for growth, and that's kind of what's happened is that the supply is just not there, but it's a great area.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, thanks for getting into more detail on that. I want to talk a little bit about the active adult 55 plus communities, because as it turns out, a lot of the people who are escaping the Bay Area have built up, a nest egg. They have some equity in their property, and they're thinking, okay, we're ready to make a move. But what's important to them is what are some active adult options so they can keep active and have a lot of activities and some nice places to live. So give us a couple of areas that are more popular where there's, that opportunity for people who are 55 plus.
Do you want to go back to the map? Do you want to show the map?
Yeah, you can. We'll share our map again.
We'll share a map and show you those areas.
Yeah, Denver has actually really stepped up as far as providing a lot more active 55 plus communities. I think they realize people want to come here. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people think Colorado, oh, the weather's so bad, but actually, if you live here, you realize the weather's actually quite great, even in the winter. Maybe not this last winter, but in general, we hardly ever see, at least not very big snow dumps down here. A couple inches here and there, but then the next day it melts and it's 60 degrees. So it is a great place for people to retire, just because, well, weather, price point, access to mountains and whatnot, and recreation. DIA is becoming great as far as an international airport with a lot more direct flights internationally, which is awesome. And so we've seen quite build up of some active 55 plus communities. Definitely one of the oldest ones is Windsor Gardens. It's right in Denver. You're definitely going to see more of the smaller condos, maybe a little bit more dated. When were they built? Maybe
1970s.
1970s. But they have a ton of inventory there, and that's great because you're right downtown. Also down in Aurora, right along, where is 470?
Down right there. It's right there.
Right there.
Just go above there, yeah.
Is Heritage Eagle Bend, is a community that was built a few years ago on a golf course. There's also Inspiration is another large community that is being built with quite I think 1,800 homes, new homes being built out there with a rec center, swimming pool.
Let's talk about Heritage Eagle Bend real quick.
Yeah.
Not only does it have a golf course, Scott, but it has a clubhouse. They have community events there. It's turnkey. They've got duplexes. They've got single family homes. So you don't have to take care of your yard. You don't have to do the snow plowing when it does snow.
Sure.
But they have incredible events up at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
There's several of those kind of communities around town.
And as well up north, here Broomfield as well has got one called Todd Creek. Actually, that one's in Thornton. And then Broomfield has got another one as well.
What kind of price point options are you looking at? Obviously, you're going to have, lower from the condo townhome up to the single family, but give us kind of a range of what those prices might look like.
You could definitely, for the patio homes, in the 400s, for sure would be a great price point.
Okay.
Like you said, of course, for the newer, larger single family homes, get up into the 600s or 700s, but for sure, anywhere between 400 and 500, there's quite a variety of those kind of homes.
Awesome.
Now, real quick, I want to hit on one other thing, though. In Cherry Creek, there is a community that they've created down there. So if you're looking for more high-end, like they have a valet, they have a grocery service, they take care of everything for you. It's absolutely amazing, called, was it 250 Clayton, I think it is?
Yeah.
250 Clayton. So there's high end, and then there's more golf course communities when you go down south or up north. So there's a really good range of those kind of communities.
And it sounds like for a lot of people, it depends on what they're looking for. They might be, active. We want to be out golfing, out of the area a little bit more, slower pace. Or you could be, like you said, very, very close to a lot of services and maybe, the city itself.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what's nice about Denver, honestly, is there's a lot of different options. That's why I think when people move here, they're surprised to say, I want to live in Denver. We're like, where? There's so many different options,
Yeah. I've got another question here. Can you talk about, and since we've got the map open, this is a good time, Arvada and Thornton and all the new housing developments in that area and the future/potential future commercial plans in those areas. So did I say that? Arvada, is that right? And Thornton?
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit on these real quick. Back in the day, this 36, Highway 36, it's not the best map ever, but this used to be a toll road. This used to be a toll road back in the day. Honestly, when you were leaving Denver and you were headed up to Boulder, my grandparents actually grew up in Arvada. My grandpa was actually a school teacher at DPS, and they lived up in Arvada. And what was amazing is that really the growth stopped here, Westminster, Broomfield, Arvada, and then from all the way up to Boulder, there was nothing. Now, it is all connected. It is all connected, like Vail Resorts, Storage Tech, Google. They're all building campuses all along this road. Level 3 is along that road as well.
Oh, yeah.
So the amount of tech companies, financial service companies, they are filling this up. And so what's happening is developers like Shea Homes, US Homes, they're all building along this corridor. So to answer your question about Arvada, Westminster, Broomfield, Boulder, Louisville, they're all kind of connecting together. Now from here to here is about a 30-minute drive from Westminster to Boulder. But yes, it is definitely booming, and there's new construction, and then you can find your old 1978 homes as well. Not old, but older. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got it. Perfect.
So does that kind of answer that question?
Yep, that was a great response. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about, you touched on industry and employment. Obviously, the Denver area is attracting a lot of tech talent from the Bay Area, and they're not being shy about doing it. We'll just say that.
That's right.
So what are some of the higher industry, including, tech, what are some of the larger growing industries and maybe some of those major players who are, making a larger presence in the Denver area and doing more hiring?
Well, I would say definitely the biggest one that we've seen recently is the VF Corp that has come out actually from San Francisco. They've got a couple other little area pocket offices in San Diego, and but they are the outdoor retailer, as you may know, of Smart Wool and all different kinds of brands. And they really decided to pick Denver as their main headquarters.
That's Vanity Fair Corporation, by the way. That's North Face. They have all those different brands. Yeah, Vanity Fair.
That was a big surprise when they announced that they were leaving this area and going out there.
Yeah.
I think that was a big surprise to a lot of people.
We were very happy about it. We were very happy. And the number 2 is Charles Schwab. From a financial service, Charles Schwab built a huge campus. They moved some of their big people out here. I think it was from Northern California area. This is a few years back, but they have about 4 or 5 buildings now, and the financial services is the other place where we're seeing a lot of big companies move here. And the other one is solar. I had the notes written down on it. Energy, renewable energy is a big thing that's happening here in Denver. Renewable energy, a lot of companies moving out here as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because they interviewed Charles Schwab recently talking about, where the direction of the company was going to take them from a geographic standpoint. Without saying we're going, he's basically saying we're keeping our options open, whether that's, to continue in Colorado or maybe in Texas or, so obviously there's a lot of chatter going on and a lot of companies that are keeping their options open. And we're certainly seeing, we're seeing Denver attract a lot of those companies, even on the, the small to mid-level range.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, you just hit on the number 1 and number 2 states that are relocating to Denver. It is Texas and it's California. Those are the 2. And what we see is anyone moving from Colorado is usually Texas. So we see a lot of people literally buying homes here from Texas, and they're moving to Colorado. It's very interesting, the dichotomy there.
Yeah.
Literally, I was in a closing where my client was moving to Texas, and the person buying the house was moving from Texas. So literally, they're just passing across, and then the second biggest state is California. We're seeing a lot of influx from California.
Do you see that mostly from Northern California, the Bay Area, or is it the whole state?
Whole state. Whole state. I'll say probably majority because we're getting VF Corp. We got a lot of VF Corp. We saw a lot from Northern California, but we still see a lot from Southern California as well.
Let's talk about healthcare, because a lot of the people, again, who are coming out looking to retire out there, maybe they're at the retirement age, already in their retirement. A big concern to them is access to healthcare. In fact, that's one of the first questions we usually get asked. So talk a little bit about maybe, the proximity to healthcare services, the availability, some of the major players out there in healthcare.
Well, they've not recently, but over the last many years, built that huge health sciences, how would you call it, a complex almost?
It's a huge complex.
25 University
it
of Colorado.
It was the VA. I mean, the VA hospital. It was actually in the news about how much overruns they had on it. But there's this area in Aurora off of Colfax and I-225 that they have completely revitalized the area. It's one of the biggest VA hospitals in the nation. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So besides that, down south, we've got Skyridge Hospital. They've built Parker Adventist Hospital in Parker. Castle Rock has got a hospital as well. And then Central Denver, of course, you've got Rose Hospital, St. Joe's. There's no shortage of hospitals.
If you look at CU Health and Sciences, what CU Health Sciences have done is unbelievable what they have done in the Denver area. I mean, some of the best research, some of the best asthma research, cancer specialists are really gravitating towards Denver. We get a ton of relocation from doctors that are moving from hospitals.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one other question that just came up here. What are the most affordable areas with mountain views? And can you also talk about Springs, Colorado Springs?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so everyone.
I get a lot of people, by the way, that ask about Colorado Springs. And, so
oh, do you really? Okay.
Let's do this. Let's share.
Yeah, Colorado Springs, it's not on there, though. It doesn't go that far south. But if you were to keep going.
Right there.
See Castle Rock right here? That's I-25, right?
Yeah, that's I-25.
You just keep going. It's about an hour south of Castle Rock right there, maybe 45 minutes. That's Colorado Springs. And Colorado Springs is actually seeing quite a growth recently. People are just moving there. It's more affordable. I would say the average price of a home down there is around $300,000. So obviously that's a lot more affordable. It's beautiful down there. You've got, the beautiful Red Rocks. You've got tons of hiking, a lot of recreation down there. The Broadmoor, amazing resort is down there. And there's quite a few companies down there as well. So employment is doing well. What was the other question?
So it's about where's the most affordable place to find a nice mountain view?
Yeah, so that.
I'm thinking you're going to go right here. If it's in that Lakewood area, right in here. This is the area, kind of in this area. So you're not in Denver, you're outside of Denver.
Yeah.
You're kind of in the west area, this Lakewood area off of Union Boulevard is where a lot of people love. They feel like they're in the mountains, but they're not paying the price.
Because obviously you cannot, Morrison would not be affordable. Highlands Ranch, you can get mountain views.
Ranch.
Absolutely. And Highlands Ranch, the average price of a home, below $5 would be?
Yeah,
it's
like 475 range.
That's very,
you can get a home
how about Lakewood? So if that's also an alternative, what would that run you?
400s, 450. The problem is that it's a moving target right now, Scott, because it was 350 to 375 not long ago. Now it's like 425 to 450. It's kind of like that new hot spot in here because people come to Denver, say, I can't afford there, and it's not the lifestyle I want to really live. So they come out here Lakewood. So I will say that's one of the areas trending that's getting a little bit more expensive.
Perfect. Let's talk a little bit about, and we've talked about a lot of the growth, right? And we're talking about growth going northeast and south. And you touched on this a little bit before with the public transportation, but tell us more about what the city is doing and the area is doing to, continue to plan for that growth as far, within transportation, this sector.
For transportation, well, the light rail that we mentioned before, that was a big investment for Denver to build this light rail. It's been happening over the last many 10, 15 years, they are constantly, they're actually now adding, you can still look at my map, they go to Lone Tree, and they're about to open up another station right down here, a little bit north of Castle Rock. I don't think there's any more plans right now to go.
No, that's about as far south.
South, but yet they're.
And this line, Scott, takes you all the way from here, all the way up to here. So there's the line that goes, connects all the way here. And now they're making progress going around the loop. So I call this the donut right here, and the donut hole is right here, if that makes sense. And then what it's doing is branching off here. I should almost had a light rail map up here with us today.
Yeah.
But it really, kind of the green lines on here, you can follow is kind of the light rail map. We did not have this 10, 15 years ago. So public transportation is really, like when we go to Bronco games, Rocky games, go out for downtown Denver for the night, if traffic's too bad, we hop on the light rail.
Yeah. It sounds like they plan for growth the right way.
They have.
And then the second thing is that Denver had a construction defect lawsuit. It was one of the toughest cities in the nation to construct for home developers. Well, there have been so much push to loosen up on that quite a bit. And now finally we are starting to see condos being built in Denver where we haven't seen that in the last 10 years.
Interesting. Okay. So they're loosening up a little bit.
Loosening up quite a bit. We know that we have a demand for more units, and we're finally starting to see the condo market really expand on that.
We're starting to see some in California, the same thing. We've had the issues with growth and construction and a lot of the red tape that goes along with that. And they're starting to, initiate some legislation that's helping to potentially push that through a little bit quicker. We'll see how it goes. We have a question from Ann here. What about Fort Collins?
Oh, Fort Collins. Fort Collins has already been booming.
Yes.
Okay.
They're not like Greeley is up and coming, but Fort Collins has already seen that boom, and it continues to boom. That's obviously where Colorado State University is, and it has really come around. And there's been definitely an uptick in prices of real estate up there.
But I'll tell you, it's one of the favorite places that we see. We see a lot of people that relocate from out of state, right?
Yeah.
That really want to truly retire. That's one of the areas they love is Fort Collins.
That's true.
It has become, CSU has done an amazing job on that campus.
Yeah.
And the area around there is just absolutely
it's a nice
gorgeous.
Quality
the
of
town
life.
is amazing.
The downtown area, super cute. Lots of breweries there, restaurants, shopping.
What's the average price somebody's going to pay for a 3 to 4 bedroom at Fort Collins?
Probably 500, 600 now, where it used to be 300 or 400. It's not Boulder. I'm going to say it's Boulder Part 2. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is that Boulder was that area for many years, but it's gotten so expensive that now it's kind of transitioned. Like Fort Collins, it's really, I'm not going to say it's done yet. It's still growing, but it's really, a lot of people have picked up on Fort Collins over the last 5 years.
We'll say it's matured. Yeah, it's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Okay. So one thing that Californians absolutely love to talk about, so I'm going to make sure I bring it up, is taxes. When it comes to taxes, we win.
Yes, you do win. You're the big winners.
Yeah, if it's highest, you're the winner. We are clearly the winner. Tell us a little bit about what your state income tax rate is. I know we're not claiming to be CPAs, financial experts, but give me kind of an idea. What does it look like there?
Well, so state income tax is 4.63%. So that's our state income tax. From a property tax rate, taxes, Denver in here is actually very, very, very reasonable. Maybe you'll find a $500,000, $600,000 home and your taxes will be $3,500 to $4,000. Not bad.
Cheap.
Sales tax in Denver will be about 7.8%. It's about 7.8, wasn't that about right there?
Yeah.
About 7.8%. Now, when you get into the suburbs, let's talk about this whole area out here. Let's just pick on Highlands Ranch for a second. Typical property taxes there, Scott, I mean, just close, approximate, about 1%. So let's just say you're $700,000 or $800,000 home, your property tax will be about $8,000, somewhere in that general range. Mm-hmm. Sales tax will be more in your 4.8 to 5.2% though for down south, versus Denver might be a little bit more expensive on the sales tax perspective.
Those are definitely reasonable numbers. And to put it kind of into perspective for you guys, or maybe somebody who's watching this who isn't in the Bay Area, State income tax rate, the base is 7.25%, and it goes up to about 12.3%. Again, we win, highest in the country. The sales tax rates, again, that's per county, but generally around 8.25%, maybe up to 8.75%. Property taxes, generally 1.25% and up if there's, some additional assessments, what we call Melrose here, school measures, different things like that. So obviously, there could be, again, we always suggest when people are looking to go to an area, whether it's Denver or somewhere else, talk to your financial planner, talk to your CPA to find out how, the taxes impact your situation. But clearly, for a lot of people, there's certainly an added benefit, from a tax perspective in a place like Denver.
I think Denver, a lot of people that moved here just say it's just very fair, very reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it may not be a bargain like some states, but it's definitely not outrageous. Like that.
What are you guys paying for a gallon of gas?
So we were just talking about this actually. So it's right now in the high 2s to low 3s. So anywhere like for just regular unleaded, right about probably $2.75. Maybe premium unleaded, right about $3 to $3.20, somewhere in that range. Yeah, it's been varying a little bit, like just a little bit ago.
Our gas is always very reasonable.
Our gas is very reasonable.
We travel anywhere, or we've always
like what's it there, Scott?
For premium, you're paying anywhere from maybe $4.20 up to a little bit over $4.50.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, we win. All right.
Yeah.
Winner.
You win.
Talk about, we've got about 5 minutes here, and I want to make sure that we wrap up on time, get as much in as we can, and of course, we're certainly welcome to, happy to stay for questions. Mile High Stadium, tons of things to do with the recreation. Give us kind of the lowdown. What do people like to do there?
What do you want to go?
Oh my gosh, well, obviously you've got the mountains, so that's the biggest draw, right? If you like to ski, there's Vail, Beaver Creek, Keystone, Breckenridge, Winter Park. Farther afield, you have Aspen, Snowmass, Crested Butte, Telluride, Steamboat. But anyway, you've got
some of the best skiing in the world.
World-class skiing. We just love it. That's probably our number one reason for living here. We're big skiers. And then in the summer, you take advantage of the opposite season, which is the hiking, whitewater rafting, everything else that goes on. Honestly, the summer up there in the mountains is amazing.
Rocky Mountain National Park.
Rocky Mountain National Park. It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. And then from a local level for concerts and Denver Center Performing Arts, we get some of the best shows in town. Red Rocks is number one.
Got to see a concert at
Red Rocks is number one.
It's amazing.
And obviously you've got the Rockies games. You can talk more about sports, but you got.
Yeah, so Denver, yes, I'm a Bronco nut. Grew up on the Broncos, but I will tell you what's beautiful about Colorado from a sports perspective. We got all 4 major sports. We've got NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and NFL. So season round, all year round, between the Nuggets, the Rockies, the Avs, and the Broncos. If you're into sports, we've got it. We've got it. And beautiful stadiums, beautiful time to do. And what else? I mean, I think that's really a Denver Museum, National Art Museum. We've got a lot of different things.
There's tons to do.
Basically, if you're there and you're not having fun, you're not getting out of your house enough, right? Because there's so much outdoors, winter and summertime to do.
And that's the thing. Everyone thinks you just hunker down in the wintertime. Actually, we get out so much in the wintertime. It's one of the most active states in the United States. It's just a lot of people get out and do stuff. A lot of things going on.
Ann has a question, which I want to get to in just a minute, but kind of to tie into what we're talking about with recreation, talk about kind of weather, the seasons, how much snow, during the wintertime, are you having to get up and shovel yourself out every morning? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, well, like I said, this last winter was a little bit different, but I think that was true across all the other states too. So we did see a little bit more snow this year, but if you go back other years, I don't think our kids had a snow day. They were really mad about this in like 4 years.
Disappointing.
So that didn't make them happy, but it made the rest of the population happy. In the winter, you see, a few inches here and there, but again, the weather fluctuates so much. It'll be 60 degrees and it'll melt within the next day or two. Spring, we get a little bit more rain, and often, sometimes you get another quick bout of winter in the spring, generally in May. But then, obviously right now we're experiencing 70 degrees. So we still have not, my gosh, you guys had 100 degrees, didn't you?
Yeah, it was I think 104 last couple of
Oh
days,
my
and I think
God.
we'll be down to about 100, which is an average. But here's the thing: is this is the first day that's been over 80 degrees like the entire year, this week. So
Wow.
it's been very bizarre. We haven't had a
Yeah.
normal springtime. We just kind of decided to hit summer
Yeah.
real quick this week.
But real quick, to hit on the
crazy.
weather, one of the things Denver's really known for is
Yeah.
over 300 days of sun.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
people don't realize about Denver, it technically is high desert. Even though we have the Rocky Mountains off to us, you'll be Thanksgiving 2 years ago, we were out playing a football game, right? It was 81 degrees in November. And so you'll have days in January, February, then you'll have days that are 0 degrees. But honestly, overall, the fall is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh my God, fall is dry and
It's
Indian
perfect.
summers, and don't forget, we're known as a mile high state, so we are at 5280 altitude. So that may affect some people, but for us locals,
That's where you
you
go
get
to
accustomed to it.
train, right? To sports train. You go there, right? Because that really
Yep,
kind of
that's it.
gets you going. It's interesting because I was born in Denver, didn't live there for very long, but I've got a lot of family there, and I can attest to the fact that when you go there, it could be like 75 one day, and the next day it's like snowing and 30 degrees, and I've never seen that before, where it can have that extreme in 24 hours. We certainly don't experience that in California, but it's interesting,
Absolutely.
right? You don't know what to
Yeah,
wear
it
tomorrow
is.
until you wake up to see what's going on.
Yeah.
It makes it fun. But overall, generally, it's usually pretty nice. It's
Pretty
usually
even,
pretty. We don't
yeah.
get the highs, we don't get the lows. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get to Anne's question here. She asks, if you hadn't talked about traffic, please comment on traffic. So we did talk about, kind of, what they're doing as far as mass transit, some of the lines they're putting through. But for the people who are in commute, maybe they're commuting to the metro area, how long are you going to expect to sit in traffic going there and coming back?
That is a good question, Anne. Yeah, something that everyone wants to know when moving to Denver. I'm not going to lie, traffic is not great.
It's increased a lot, Scott. Over the last few years, we have noticed that as locals, it has gotten worse.
Yeah.
Sure.
It definitely has gotten worse.
But they've got measures. They are right now. They're expanding a couple of highways. They're actually expanding between Castle Rock and Colorado Springs right now. Finally, they're adding a lane on each side. Before it was just 2 lanes each way, so a 4-lane highway connecting 2 major metropolises. So that's nice. Also 470, they're finally expanding that. They already expanded I-25, which runs north and south. And I wish that they had expanded it even more. but I would say if we're going to commute from, say, where we live,
Let's say the south area,
Castle Rock,
to
downtown Denver.
downtown, without too much traffic.
Yeah, not on a Friday night when there's like a Bronco game.
Yeah, what do you say, 35 to 40 minutes probably?
Yeah,
somewhere in that 35 to 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
40 minutes.
But at 2 in the morning, you could get there in 25 minutes.
Yeah, so that gives you a good relationship, 35 to 40. Now, at bad traffic, maybe 50 an hour. It'll be an hour to get down to Denver. And that's from way down south here. That's from here. And then same thing from up north.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of good lane expansion. So to answer your question, they're working on it. Our highways are constantly being worked on. They're trying to expand. I think they're trying to relieve some of the pressure with light rail. But it all depends. I think just like any city, back in the day, you used to be able to fly down here, but it just depends on when and where,
Yeah, and I wouldn't think that anybody's going to be too shocked if they are coming from the Bay Area or Los Angeles, right? And they're coming out, might be 30 to 45 minutes. They're probabably not going to be too shocked with that.
No.
What we hear is they're like, you kidding me? This is not traffic, is what we hear. They're like, if you think this is traffic, go back to California.
It's
That's traffic.
like you guys have.
Nothing like that. For us that lived here forever, it's a little bit more than we used to.
Perfect. Okay, that was a great explanation. Anything else any other questions that anybody has? I know that we're technically wrapped up here, but I want to make sure that we got everybody's questions. Anything that you guys have? Kristen, Todd, anything we forgot to mention?
I think we covered it all.
Obviously, if you have other questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're happy to answer any questions.
Absolutely.
Real estate or otherwise, doesn't even matter. Ask me any questions about Denver. I'd love to share it with you guys.
And if somebody was, if they had, a lot of information and, they have a reason to come out there and take a look and start getting a little bit more serious about, kind of being hands-on, Is that something where they can come and meet with you guys, and maybe you can show them around a little bit?
Absolutely. We can connect them with one of our agents. They can give them a tour of Denver. Obviously that doesn't cost them anything. They don't have to be obligated. It's just
we do it all the time. We do these reload tours.
Just kind of like a staycation, just an exploratory,
an area
get
tour.
some more information.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I think that that's really helpful for people. This is great information, but you only really get to understand an area once you go out there and you start looking at maybe 3 or 4 different, areas, around the Denver market. And I think that's where you really start to say, okay, this could be a viable option for me for my next move.
I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. Area tours are very popular. We get a lot of people from out of state that just come to check it out for a weekend, hop in the car with one of our realtors, and we just take them everywhere and just show them around and get a feel for what it's about.
Awesome. Okay. I think we've got every question answered here. And guys, thanks again, Kristen and Todd Narlinger. Appreciate your time. And for anybody who's watching this live, if you have somebody that might be interested in looking at it, in 3 or 4 days, we will have this recorded version available, which we can send to you. You can watch again, and you can, get everything out. So, guys, thanks again. Any questions, let us know. info@leavingthebayarea.com, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care, you guys. Okay, it's been fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.